person who is using the iPhone. Is that you, Mr. Kobane?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much. I will
Yeah,
rename your gadget.
please.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Jackie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Are you in Cape Town?
I'm in Swellendam. I
Oh,
came through
okay.
the meeting with the mayor of the town and yeah, so I had to leave Cape Town very early, like 5
Oh,
o'clock, just past
oh,
5,
that's
so that I could
lovely.
be here in Swellendam to start.
Excuse me, Mr. Green. Please,
That's
can you
correct.
take excuse me, Mr. Green, can you please
Yes.
take the conversation offline?
Okay. I'll do that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairperson.
Good morning. How are you?
Not you, Mr. Matebula, our chairperson, the committee's chairperson.
Morning, Zoleka.
Yes, Chair, I see we have two chairpersons now on the platform. Chair, we are ready to start. We do form a quorum, but I would just like to ask the user of the Dell to please rename their gadget so that we know who they are. Someone who is using the Dell computer.
Okay, I think we're going to start this meeting. Good morning, everyone. And if the names are not changed, I would friendly request us to also take this person out from the meeting. Honorable members and guests, we are going to deal today with a meeting pertaining to the sports trust. We're also going to have introductions. I would request members, those invited to this particular meeting, should you speak, please only at that time introduce yourself. We will have a presentation from both the Department Sports Arts and Culture and Sports Trust. It is for that reason, honorable members, that I am now asking if there is any proposal that we deal with the business as is in front of us. Honorable members, there's no need to raise your hand. You can just propose that we start with the agenda in front of us and a second.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. It's Honorable Khabo. Khalas is the name. Surname is Khabo. I stand to move for the adoption of the agenda as it is, Chairperson. Thank you very much and good morning to yourself and all the members, honorable members on the platform. Thank you very much.
Good morning and thank you, Honorable Khabo. Is there any proposal? A seconder?
Good morning, Chairperson.
Good morning.
My name is Matsolo Molotsane, a member of this portfolio committee and brought into this portfolio committee by the ANC. I support the proposal of Honorable Khabo. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much. With that said, honorable members, is there any apologies from the portfolio secretary following apologies from the department, as well as the apologies from the sports trust? The secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We do have an apology from Ms. Mutambi, who is traveling, but she indicated that she will join the meeting at 8:20. We also received an apology from the minister. The minister is attending an inaugural meeting with the president of the National Dialogue Eminent Persons Group. So he will not be able to join the meeting this morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. The Sports Trust.
Good morning, Mr. Chairperson. This is Anita Matthews, the Executive Director of the Sports Trust. just to notify that we've had from our Board of Trustee members. Do I need to call out all their names?
No, I'm asking, is there any apologies from the Sport Trust?
Yes, there is from certain of our Board of Trustees members.
Yes, I think please call all the names for record purposes.
Sure, no problem. We have Mr. Graham Abrams from Supersport. We have Mr. Puvi Pillay from Nedbank. We have Mr. Ken Pyatt from Sun International. We have Ms. Mahadi Letsoye from Harmony. We have Ms.
Are we dealing, my apologies, are we dealing with apologies? Is it those absent in this meeting today?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm asking, it is quite a lot.
Yeah. And Ms. Rafensi Shunas from Cricket South Africa. I will then say who's joining us when we are called for who's in attendance.
Yeah, has this been communicated to the portfolio secretary? Because for me, it is quite problematic. It seems that the entire board is not present. Who are the key role players that is present here today?
Key role players present today is the chairperson of the board,
Yes.
Mr. Jackie Matabula, and then Mr. Mervyn Green, who's a nominated independent trustee and who's very involved in the day-to-day activities of the trust operations.
I don't know how we're going to deal with this, honorable members. We are dealing with serious money issues, and we could have just as well invite the chairperson. So we have 4 representatives present of the Sports Trust, the entire Sports Trust that is appearing actually for the very first time before Parliament.
Chairperson, can you recognize our hands?
Yes, please, Chair.
I can hear you, members.
Can you recognize the hands, please, Chair?
Oh, okay. Let me just have a look. My apologies. I'm going to take Honorable Akabo. Is that a legacy hand? If not, I'm going Akabo, Molatani, and Honorable Daniels. In that order.
Chairperson, good morning. Chair. Chairperson.
Proceed, Honorable Khabo.
Oh, no, thank you very much, Chair. My apology for that. Chair, like I said, good morning to your good self and delegation from Sports Trust. Chair, of importance, I wanted to check, given or out of the overall number of people that we expected, and we only have 4. I wanted to check out of the 4, do we probably have the Chief Financial Officer, part of the delegation, the Chair of the Board, the Executive Officer of the Trust, and second to that, board members. I just wanted to check in terms of the delegation. But second to that, Chairperson, on the same breath, one must indicate his dissatisfaction in relation to the delegation before the committee, especially when the Sports Trust is for the first time interacting with the portfolio committee, especially when the Sports Trust is central to the development of sports facilities in the country, especially Sports Trust. It's one of the key stakeholders that are getting a huge chunk for that matter, of our financial support or of our finances as a department. So it's very, from one sitting chairperson, it sends a message that is not pleasant. It gives an indication. That's why I also wanted to check from the administration of the portfolio as to when did this the delegation, in fact, when did the trust receive the invitation to come and appear before the committee, and who specifically received the invitation, and whether thirdly did they confirm their attendance to the meeting, chairperson. With that being said, Chair, I must equally emphasize the fact that the Sports Trust is a I'm not sure what message are they trying to send in relation to the attendance to this very much important meeting, of which is a portfolio, especially when we are dealing with the finances, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Khabo. I hope a note has been taken to respond to those concerns and questions. Honorable Molotani.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think Comrade Khabo has just covered most of the issues that I wanted to raise. Because it can't be fair. The experience has taught us that every time when the entities are here without the key people, your CFO, we seem to struggle because we don't get all the information that we need. And I further said that, according to me, I don't even want to know the apologies. Why did they apologize? It's a virtual meeting. A virtual meeting, you are at a comfort of your home and you can't be absent or apologize in a virtual meeting. It's for the first time that we are going to meet this entity. And for the mere fact that it's for the first time, they were supposed to honor the invite chairperson. So it's unfortunate that the key people are not here. We are not going to waste time by asking the questions. At the end of the day, we don't get any answers because we'll be told the CFO is not here and so forth. So, Chairperson, really, this is uncalled for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Molotani. I just want to say it is possible to not be present even if it's a Zoom meeting due to other responsibilities or other meetings. But this is, I think, one of the most important meetings, and maybe we must get behind the decision and the reasons, and Sports Trust really had something to answer about when it comes to issues of this nature. Honorable Daniels.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning to the watered down and diluted members of the Trust present in this meeting. Chairperson, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And in my humble view, where I'm seated, I think it's a very condescending posture taken by the Trust. I echo the sentiments raised by both my two colleagues. And I think, Chairperson, if we have to be brutally honest, I agree that no matter what reason they give for their absence, and like you say, it is possible not to be present, correct. But now at this very minute when we start the meeting, we get these apologies. I believe that these apologies should have been with us way in advance. We could have sent that apologies amongst us on our group and have our own discussion on the sideline, and then come back and decide on whether there is a need to have this meeting today. I don't believe that this meeting is going to go well, because somebody here is going to say that person is absent and we don't have the answers, and I'm not in a position to provide you with accurate and factual responses to your questions. And that then make me land on my point, which is it worth having this meeting with those people absent? That is my main question. Is it worth it? Because I don't want to find us 10 minutes down the line or an hour down the line of this meeting, we find we don't have the answers. Then it will come back to my question, is it worth having this meeting with these people? They don't even constitute a quorum present in this meeting that we've summoned them to. So that is a big problem, Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable members, I really share your sentiment. I'm sitting in George, closer to the event tomorrow where I have to be. And we have to make special arrangements. And also we're going to take key decisions here. Key decisions. And maybe the representative who took us through the absenteeism, can you perhaps, what is your name and your position?
Her name is Anita.
No, I would like herself to respond to me.
Just give me a second. I just want to.
Now, what I'm asking, what is your name and what is your position in the organization?
I will respond. My name is Anita Matthews. I'm the executive director of the organization. And if I may please further just elaborate, if you would give me.
I just want to find out. Okay, is the CEO present?
That is exactly the position that I hold. We don't call it chief executive officer.
Just a second for me. The CEO is present. Is the financial director or CFO present?
Yes, she is, and I'm joined by him. She's seated next to me. We coming alive.
Do you by any means have a project manager? Is he or she present?
Yes, Mr. Mataleni is also present.
Do you have a governance officer, compliance officer?
No, we don't have that portfolio. We're a very small organization.
Okay, so the CEO is present, the CFO is present, the program manager is present, and in terms of oversight on site, your oversight, who's dealing with oversight issues?
Oversight would be the chairperson of the board, and as well as the support nominated trustee, Mr. Mervyn Green.
Ms. Matthews, can you, as the representative here now, ensure this committee that we will receive a comprehensive and authoritative information and report?
Yes, I can.
Honorable members, I have checked. I am personally happy with the people present that will or can respond to issues, but my biggest problem is if a member is going to ask a particular question and there is no response, then we will have a bigger problem. Honorable Mteto, I see a hand.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to you and the colleagues, honorable members. Good morning to the department. Good morning to the Sports Trust. It has been my consistent observation, Chair, where you find the CEO is very active and fast forward in responding on behalf of the organization. It often reflects that there is a problem with the accounting level of the organization, the board itself. So I want to pose these questions before we start to the chairperson of Sports Trust. Do you have problems, chairperson, in the board? Is there anything that you can disclose upfront before we start with the meeting? If there are any disputes amongst the board members or there are any challenges within the board, so that we move from this knowing that we're talking to the board, we are not talking to people who represent the board. As my colleague said, you are not even forming the quorum. So we don't want to talk and you find that the board is split into two, there are disputes and others will not agree with what you are saying, or maybe not even representing the totality. I want that confirmation from you. Thanks, Chair.
Ms. Matthews, can you respond to that? And then I'm going to give an opportunity to Honorable Kobani and then Honorable Marlins.
Chairperson?
May I respond?
Okay.
Honorable Daniels?
Chairperson, respectfully request the chairperson. I'm going to be 10 seconds, really, and it's important the question I ask.
You can proceed, Honorable Daniels.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think it's important because it's their very first meeting with us that you can just reiterate the importance of them being honest with their responses, the consequences of twisting the truth, for wanting to cover up for people who's not there with the answers that we request. That is critically important for them to understand before they respond. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. Honorable Kobani.
No, Chair, Vani Sanswile Lessons Lava, Anna Shovala. You can see.
Can the CEO respond to the concerns of the members?
Honorable Chair, I think if I may just correct, the question was directed to the chairperson of the board to answer on behalf of the board members. So if I have your permission, then I would like the chairperson to respond to that, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and honorable members. I just want to briefly indicate how the Sports Trust work. The Sports Trust basically, as you've noted in the presentation, is an organization that comprises different organizations from both private sector and the government. And the board itself is represented by trustee representatives from these organizations. My position in the Sports Trust is that of an independent chairperson. Therefore, I represent all the trustees of the Sports Trust. For an example, before this meeting was held, we had a board meeting where we debated this, and I was fully mandated to represent all the board members from different companies as well as sport federations in this meeting. I can assure you, Chairperson and members, that the team that you have today is the team that would be able to answer all the questions. Actually, the trustees are not involved in the operations of the Sports Trust. Their role basically is that of oversight, which, as I've mentioned, rests with me as the chairperson of the board. So I represent all of them. So their relationship with the Sports Trust, therefore, it's oversight. And secondly, as providing projects, just like government would do, that would be implemented by the trust. So Anita, who is the CEO or chief or executive director, and a team are the ones who are responsible for all aspects of the operations of the trust. So they will be able to answer fully all your questions. With respect to all the governance issues, we've got 2 board members represented, myself as the chairperson and my fellow board member, Mervyn Green. So with respect to all governance issues, I'll be able to take all your questions. So I can assure you that there won't be any question that would have to be referred to the trustees that are not here, or where we say we don't have an answer. So we are fully capable to answer all your questions regarding the trust.
Yeah, you see, the thing is that the portfolio committee is used to having a full contingent present, and they are, as you can hear from the committee members, they want meaningful and effective discussion. And if we can get that satisfaction from the delegation who's present, my gut feeling say we have to proceed. Because firstly, I was almost considering postponing this meeting, because I know the time schedule has also been changed, and we are also scheduled up until 10 o'clock. Yes. Members, we do have the reasons presented, and I'm happy that we proceed. The fact that the role players with decision making is present in this meeting. Is there any other member who want to say something, or can we proceed?
Chair.
Honorable Mtetwa.
Chair, maybe let me introduce myself as the Common Culture. I'm Eugene Mtetwa, a member of this portfolio committee, and I'm deployed here by the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF. Chair, it seems like the chairperson is downplaying the role of other board members. Can I bring to his attention that board members are the accounting officer that we normally would interact with? CEOs, CFOs are the technical support to the board. That's the level of our engagement that we should be having. So he doesn't confirm to me. I want him to confirm to me that there are no issues between the board members, and he fully has the mandate as he indicated. He fully
Yes.
has a mandate, because that mandate would have been, we would request that mandate in the form of minutes that would reflect that you had a meeting and that meeting resolved that you can come and represent them.
Yes.
Thanks, Chair.
Any response to that?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, thank you. I can confirm that as the chairperson of the board of the Sports Trust, I've got full mandate to answer any questions that might be posed by the portfolio committee and fully represent all the trustees of the Sports Trust, as well as the board members.
Honorable Khabo? Is that a legacy hand?
No, Chairperson, my apology.
Yeah,
That's not.
Yeah, honorable members, we got the surety and
No, Chair.
Who's that?
No, Chair, it's me, Honorable Khabo.
Oh, Honorable Khabo, please proceed.
No, I wanted to say that as much as the Chair is giving us an assurance, the Chair is not taking us into confidence as to whether there are minutes. That indicates that the board has met and reflected on the submissions that must be made to the portfolio committee. As much as he says that he has the mandate to do so, when we get an assurance through minutes that would indicate that he was given that responsibility. Because we must emphasize the fact that between the board and the administration, there are two critical roles that they differently play. So we must be able to differentiate these two roles. And can we get that clarity and get confirmation in those minutes we submitted? That indicates that the recent meeting has taken place and the chair and reasons why these board members could not attend to this meeting, because it's very funny that a board member will decide not to come to a meeting for reasons known to himself or herself, especially when it's for the first time we're interacting as a committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Sports Trust should take cognizance of that fact. It is important that we have, all role players, but with the questions being posed to the Sports Trust and the confirmation of those present in their positions, I would suggest that we proceed with this meeting. Honorable members, there's quite a lot of developments that happened yesterday. And it was the European Court human rights case that correctly ruled that the IAAF had discriminated against Caster, and we say it was indeed for this country a vindication and also for sport in particular. Pertaining to our meeting here today and perused all of these documents, I just want to say that I have also noted that there was quite a number of movements of monies and with particular reference during COVID. And perhaps if that presentation will be made, I would like the Sports Trust to give emphasis on the particular issue when it comes to movements of funds during the COVID time. And I would like to wish everyone well for this meeting. And I also appreciate the fact that the Sports Trust has, submit a detailed information pertaining to activities, the financial transactions, which will also enable us to understand. And perhaps I would like emphasis be put, because this is my gut feeling, that it seems there is some sort of serious duplication when it comes to the Sports Trust itself. With that said, is Dr. Kumalo in this meeting? Anyone from the Department Sports, Arts and Culture, please proceed. You have limited time due to the discussion earlier on. Please just highlight the issues, because members have already received this information. Following the Department Sports, Arts and Culture, we are going to ask the Sports Trust to do their presentation. Dr. Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it's in order for me to extend greetings, yourself, honorable members, Chairperson of the Trust and the Executive Director and the colleagues. Mr. Tebichaye, who is the acting DDG in sport, will take the meeting through the presentation outlining, which is the overview, outlining the work that we do with Sport Trust. The presentation is on the screen, Tebogo. If you could please proceed with the time limitations noted.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, members and Chairperson of the Sports Trust and board, including the executive and of the Sports Trust, colleagues from the department. Thank you so much. Good morning. Chair, I'll take you through quickly and briefly through what we do with the Sports Trust, and the briefing will include the work and projects that we undertake through the Sports Trust and with the Sports Trust. And our main focus will be on the support provided by the Sports Trust with giving detailed information as per the brief. Chair, just generally on the background, the Sports Trust was established in 1994, and it was a trust that was established with various organizations, not just the department, as mentioned there, Nedbank, Sun International, Harmony Gold, Mines, and SABC. And there were also members of the sports sector. Precisely, it was established to ensure that the private resources mobilized, both by government and private sector, can then be centered into one trust that can help to enhance service delivery, and particularly focusing on building infrastructure in communities. And the department has enjoyed quite a good relationship with the Sports Trust throughout the years, and I think it's a partnership that will continue to support and enhance as we proceed. Proceed to the next slide. And so what is the main focus of the Sports Trust? They are primarily focused on increasing access of participation to sports and recreation, particularly in rural areas, as you'll see with the type of facilities and programs that they undertake, and mainly focusing on building combi courts in schools in particular, and some focusing on multiple courts like netball, volleyball, football, and five-a-side. But also provision of equipment and attire, which is a mandate that we dually carry as we proceed with the work that we undertake. Proceed to the next slide. And in all that, we have a service level agreement between ourselves and Sports Trust on what is the mandate, on what are the deliverables that must be undertaken. And so what we'll just present here is just what we have done, not because Sports Trust will give you a comprehensive one of what has been done throughout many years, but just focusing on the past 2 years, 24-25, 23-24 and 24-25, and what are the levels of compliance to date. Proceed. So, Chair, if you are to look into the slide, you'll see that there are a number of combi courts that were built in the year 23-24 with the Sports Trust, and it cuts across all the provinces. The main focus here in this was the combi courts in particular that were built in these various provinces, and you'll see the status there of all this particular projects. I must indicate that others we have already handed over. Others, obviously, depending on the calendar of the accounting authorities, they have been completed and communities are starting to use them. But majority of this we have handed over. The latest one is that one of Portland Secondary School, which the minister just recently handed in May in the Western Cape. Proceed. And as indicated there, that I think this presentation, Chair, is not the one that we had updated, but nevertheless, I'll just zoom into the amounts. As you'll see there, in the previous financial year, 23-24, we had allocated about 25.8 million to the Sports Trust. In this past financial year that ended 23-24, we had the 21.9 million that we would have allocated for the building of combi courts and outdoor gyms, but also had an additional allocation to also of 4 million, which we allocated when we were constructing and refurbishing the Galvandale swimming pool. And this year we have projected for the combi courts the 22.9 million, but also there's further allocation that we have made, Chair, in the 25-26 financial year to build additional 70 outdoor gyms and 30 combi courts, cutting across all 9 provinces. And we're still finalizing the list of the beneficiaries with the executive authority. I thank you, Chair and members.
The Sports Trust.
Give us a second while we load the, please.
Can we please provide sharing rights for the Sports Trust?
Thank you.
Yes, I have, Chair. I have given Ceci Khadebe sharing rights.
Oh.
Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. May I request that you please give Smagama Toleni the rights to share, because we're using my laptop currently for the presentations. Thank you.
I think in the meantime, while we wait for the sharing rights, is it possible that we can have some comments on the movements of monies during COVID, and also perhaps from both departments, Department Sports, Arts and Culture, as well as the Sports Trust, on how do they feel on their role pertaining to potential duplication. Dr. Kumalo?
Mr. Tebekhaya will respond to the question, Chair. We do have other colleagues also in the platform from the same section. Tebogo, if you could come in, please.
Yes. Chair, I'm not sure whether you would have wanted us to have a presentation specific to the issues of COVID, because that can also
No,
be
it is.
available.
My apologies. It is on. I see the presentation is on. Let's flag those concerns and questions. I was just worried about time.
Okay.
But within, I think, the presentation of Sports Trust, there are explanations and movements of monies during COVID. Perhaps what I was saying is just to give during the presentation, or after members have an opportunity to ask questions, just give us a crisp response on the 2 concerns that I've raised. Sports Trust, please proceed. What happened to the presentation now?
Anita?
Now? Are you? Honorable Chair, is everybody seeing the presentation?
Anita, can you put it on a presentation mode, please?
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it at least. Thank you.
Yeah, we can see, Chair.
Please proceed with the presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's to highlight who the Sports Trust is. As we have said, we were a vision of the late President Nelson Mandela to have a public-private organization that could assist the government and the sports federations and the private sector to deliver sports facilities and infrastructure to the disadvantaged communities in a fast, efficient, and qualitative manner, observing good corporate governance. Sorry, we're just going to go back to that. And as I said, our trustees are made up of the private sector and the public sector, the private sector being Nedbank, Sun International, SuperSport, Nedbank, Harmony Gold Mines, the public sector being the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Cricket South Africa, and formerly South African Rugby Union and SAFA. As I pointed out, our key focus is enhancing education through sport, and that means that we then place sports facilities, sports equipment, sports kit, and sports supportive programs into the schools and the communities that has been identified by our partners. Our current income streams are from our trustees and ad hoc project implementation partners. That meaning that where we are approached by another corporate to assist them or any other donor in implementation projects on their behalf that they have identified the beneficiaries for. Also, we have investments with Nedbank, where we make certain that we look after the sustainability of the Sports Trust to ensure that we can, in future, still operate and deliver the services that we do to the people of South Africa.
Mrs. Matthews,
yeah?
My apologies. I don't see any movement on the presentation.
We've just moved to page 2, but that's a Are you seeing page 2, Chairperson?
I think, Chairperson, the presenter should be front, and then the pages, they are still back. Whatever that she has just explained, it's only now that it shows on a screen. So at least she must be on the same page with the screen. She's faster than the screen.
I agree. Yeah, let's do it according to what is been moved on the screen. Please
Okay,
proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Honorable Chairperson. Are you able to see the slide that says Sports Trust Governance, Makeup and Board?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm on that slide. And as I've said, the Board of Trustees is made up of the private sector, government, macro sports organizations, and sports federations. And just to outline, when everyone joined, was Nedbank joined in 1994. So they're one of the founding members, SuperSport, a founding member, Sun International, a founding member, Harmony Gold Mines joined later in 2002. Government was a founding member because it was the initiative of government, as I've stated, the late President Nelson Mandela having the vision that there was going to be a need for an NGO to assist government to fast-track delivery of sports facilities and sports services to the disadvantaged communities. The macro sports bodies that's currently on the Trust board is the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee, as known as SASCOC, and they too was a founding member that joined in 1994. And just to take you back, the reason why we say a founding member, because initially it was the National Sports Council. And through the years, we have seen that this body had transformed into what is known now the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee, because in prior years, development sport and Olympic sport was separated. The National Sports Council was responsible for unification of the sports bodies and making certain development of sport, where the National Olympic Committee was responsible for Olympic codes. Now we can see that it's merged into one body. And then the Sports Federation, currently we have Cricket South Africa, who was also a founding member in 1994. That makes up the board of the Sports Trust. The role of the trustees is primarily governance, strategic direction, and fiduciary oversight of the organization. That meaning they set policy, they ensure financial sustainability, monitoring organizational performance, and safeguarding assets to fulfill the trust mission of promoting sports development. Significantly since its inception, the trust, under the guidance of the board, has consistently obtained unqualified audit opinions for the trust financial statements, demonstrating a strong ongoing commitment to financial integrity, transparency, robust internal controls, and strict adherence to accounting standards and regulatory requirements. In essence, as we've said, the board provides governance oversight, and its effectiveness is evidenced by an unbroken record of clean audits since it was founded. On this slide, we just outline the Board of Trustees representatives that is nominated from the Board of Trustee companies to serve on the board of the Sports Trust. And I've mentioned these names previously when I had tabled the apologies for the members. May we proceed to the next slide? Diversification. The board is cognizant of the fact that we need to diversify and expand the Board of Trustees in order to ensure long-term financial sustainability. We need to attract more partners with the trust to implement more infrastructure and other sports development programs across the country, especially targeting, and this is very important for the board. Also, very competent trustees that we want to attract with the various skills and experience required to grow the trust and increase its impact within the communities for the advancements of sport in South Africa. As I've said, we want to reach more communities and grow the impact of the trust. And new corporates that will join the trust across the country will ensure that we are able to expand on these projects and touch more lives, more beneficiaries in the disadvantaged communities that we serve. The strategic approach that we would be taking for new partners includes SOEs, provinces, corporates, NGOs, MPCs, and other entities that may be accommodated on the board. Also, as part of the board's role, the board has a number of committees to support the executive office with the day-to-day operations and management. These committees implement policies set by the trust, and all their decisions require final approval by the board. We have three committees, the Finance, Audit, Risk, Human Resource and Administration Committee, the Projects Committee, and the Marketing and Communications Committee. Those are responsible for day-to-day oversight of operations. And then in terms of our executive management and administrative structure, we are a team of 10 personnel that includes key executive management of 4 and support administrative staff of 6. The team is responsible for executing and translating the Board of Trustees governance into effective management, financial stewardship, and program or projects delivery. The key team members consist of myself, Executive Director Anita Matthews, Head of Projects and Stakeholder Relationships, Mr. Simanga Matuleni, the Finance Controller, Ms. Ceci Radebe, and our Marketing and Communications Manager, Ms. Carol Crawford. Our goal and strategic objective for impact and sustainability is to try and implement over 250 million worth of projects nationally in sports development, in education and communities. The focus areas is partnership with government, national, provincial and local, sports infrastructure, special projects and general sports development. We'd also, in terms of companies, focus on the ESG issues of our strategic partners and our trustees. We would impact on education and the link to sports in education, and also determine measurable impact for all our programs and projects. Part of the goals are to grow the government partnership, as we said, implement high value and high impact projects. Furthermore, key to us is to increase our trustees, as previously highlighted, because increasing the trustees would mean that we can reach more people, increasing the projects, and also seek international funding partners for specific projects in South Africa. Our focus would be on localization and key communities for trustees and partners to partner with. Key to us too is to maintain good corporate governance, diversify income streams, be relevant to our trustees and strategic partners. For corporate partners and trustees, focus on strategic drivers in the integrated reports policies from social and ethics committees, and partner with municipalities to access the municipal infrastructure grant funding for us in sports infrastructure, and always having a measurable impact for the partnerships that we have to determine what happens in communities. What we do, as I've said, we do sports infrastructure. We focus on a niche and a flag program, which is our multipurpose sports courts, which is based on interlocking sports courts surfaces. We have artificial turf courts, as well as what we know as your normal concrete asphalt courts that's being built. We have also built clubhouses, indoor sports centers, skate park, ablution facilities, container facilities, just to mention a few. In terms of sports equipment, we do various sports codes. Just to mention a few, once again, it's rugby, cricket, netball, soccer, drum majors, horse riding, wheelchair basketball, and many more that we've done over the years. Other support programs that we give support to for the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture is the National School Games, Sports Awards, Indigenous Games, as well as coaching programs that we assist for our other partners as well. Sports and education and safety programs that we were involved with was the Rugby Medical and Safety Kits, the Safety and Medical Expo, and I'll allude to this more later. For our projects to date, we just give you a breakdown. We have delivered 722 projects in total since inception, and that is estimated just over R1 billion. We will share that with the committee as well in terms of the project spent per year and how it accumulated to that R1 billion. Just to give you some ideas of the facilities we've done.
I think let's move to all those pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Members had their eyes on it up until the Sports Trust Challenge Sports Facilities Maintenance.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. So the challenges really that we experience is that, firstly, how we determine the beneficiaries, those are determined by the partners, the funding partners, by the government and the companies. The sports trusts do not have discretion in that regard to select the beneficiaries. Those are done by our partners. And hence, we feel that there's a focus on a limited number of communities, and deep rural areas are often overlooked, especially we find with some of our corporate partners. They do not go into some of these areas because they service their local operation business units. And so we just wanted to make clear about that. We've also been hamstrung by our ability to attract new trustees, which means we have a limited number of infrastructure projects. We've also seen cases of vandalism of facilities. Fortunately, we've had isolated cases, but it is a major concern when we install infrastructure in communities. Although we have their support and taking ownership, unfortunately, sometimes it's beyond their control what happens in the community. So we do have cases of vandalism. Limited of a budget of DSAC to scale more projects across the country, and this is where we want to ensure that we have more partnerships with the corporate sector and other donors to make certain we can scale those projects. The other concern that we have in terms of safety is that, yes, with the limited budgets that we have not been able to do a holistic kind of sports infrastructure where we place our facilities. For example, we find that a key safety mechanism and also to give extra time for play is to have lighting at these facilities. So that is also a concern that we have highlighted that we need to look at in the future where we place facility, further mitigating of safety risks and also making certain that they are more favorable usage of facilities in the evenings. In terms of maintenance, in some cases, we have seen poor beneficiary ownership by both schools and communities and municipalities where it has resulted in a lack of maintenance, the facilities not being optimally utilized because we find that they knock out some of the community
Recording
members.
in progress.
Denial of usage by other community members, lack of structured fixtures, programs from local sports structures, and limited sports organizational and structural support that we have observed. Our challenges with funding, as I've pointed out previously, is limited income streams, which means fewer projects can be implemented. Limited funding means limited deliverables. That impact on the funding, but not limited to, is our poor reach to provincial governments and to local governments, our ability to attract partnerships with SOEs, the limited number of corporate partners that we have currently on record as Board of Trustees and other donors, and the limited number of international funding partners. We have not really been able to secure funding from this market. Not all sports federations being part of the trustees. However, when we do implement programs, they are consulted and they are involved in the project delivery when we put facilities into schools and communities. And just our ability to attract funding from other development trusts, which we have made our central focus going forward to attract more partners at the end of the day. We've also now developed a new value proposition for the development of sport in South Africa. And this would focus on funding diversification, as I've already pointed out. So I'm not going to go through that again. In terms of our financial performance, would you like me to go here by here, Mr. Chair?
Ms. Matthew,
yes.
Are you giving over to the CFO now?
Yes, I can do that. We will be joined by Ms. Sisi Radebe.
Is that the CFO? CFO, please proceed.
I'll be presenting the two financial statements, which is the statement of comprehensive income and the statement of financial position. The purpose of these two financial statements is to reflect the financial performance and the position of the Sports Trust over the past 5 years, from 2020 to 2024. Okay, we're going to look at the statement of comprehensive income, and the first portion is the income received. In 2020, the Sports Trust received 69 million versus in 2021, which we had an income peak of 105 million. It was largely due to ad hoc project coming to an end post-COVID period. And then moving right along, the income received declines in the subsequent years from 2022 to 2024. In 2022, we received 94 million versus in 2023, which was 75 million. And we had a sharp drop in 2024, which was 35 million. And then moving right along into the operating expenses. The operating expenses they were fairly stable from 2020 to 2022. And then in 2020, we had 9 million versus in 2021, which was 8.9 million. And then the operating expenses in 2022 were 9.7 million versus in 2023, which was 10 million. And in 2024, were 12 million. And the increase in our operating expenses was due to the standard cost of living adjustment. And then looking at the final portion of the statement of comprehensive income, which is the net financial results / operating surplus or deficit. In 2020, the Sports Trust reported a deficit of 1.9 million. It was due to that the grant that was received was not sufficient to cover the full operating expenses. And then from 2021 to 2024, the Sports Trust recorded the surplus each year. In 2021, we had 19 million versus in 2022, which was 1.5 million. And in 2023, we had 3.4 million of a surplus versus in 2024, which was 9.9 million. And then that is the sum up version of the statement of comprehensive income. And then looking at the second statement, which is the statement of financial position. The statement of financial position reflects just two sections, which is the total asset against the total liabilities. The trust have shown a fluctuation in the total assets over the past 5 years. In 2020, the total assets were reflecting 53 million versus in 2021, which was 77 million. And then we had a huge increase of our total assets in 2022, which was 108 million. Versus in 2023, which we had a decline of 73 million. And a wrap up in our total assets in 2024, we had 90 million. And that is our sum up of our total assets for the past 5 years. And then the last portion, looking at the liabilities. In 2020, we had total liabilities of 34 million versus in 2021, which were 39 million. And then in 2022, we also had an increase of 68 million versus in 2023, which was 30 million. Which was 30 million. And then in 2024, the liabilities were 34 million. In conclusion, throughout the past 5 years, the Sports Trust have remained solvent, which shows the total asset constantly exceed the total liabilities, which is a strong indicator of this trust financial health and ability to meet its obligations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, let me say on behalf of the committee that we appreciate the presentation. And I want us to focus on specific issues. And I'm going to give members opportunities now to ask questions. I've skipped the very last pages because I deemed it necessary that members would like to interrogate particularly the finances. I see hands, Honorable Mtetwa, Honorable Marlon Daniels. Can we proceed in that order?
Thank you, Chair. Here are my following questions, Chair. First and foremost, I want to say to the Department of Arts and Culture, it is a constant, painful reminder of how arts and culture aspect is treated as a stepdaughter or stepson. When you look at the structural formation of what sports, how the sports is structured, you have your National Sports Council, which may be equivalent to the National Arts Council, Sports Trust, and SASCOC in sports. we have nothing of that sort in arts and culture. But be that as it may, I will keep on hammering it until they do something about it. Now, thank you for the presentation. I look at the pictures, and the pictures they paint a very biased angle, which is in my understanding or in my own interpretation, it seeks to it's a picture that says we need more money because we are helping black people or previously disadvantaged children or communities. Now I want to find out what is the criteria you use to select a school or community or parks where you establish the relevant facilities. Your multipurpose, especially in particular, and clubhouses. I want you to, in your response, also to indicate, just name few townships where you have built clubhouses. Because in my understanding, and where if my memory serves me well, we've been to townships where we don't see these things, these multipurposes. But if you can assist us, maybe Department of Arts could not take us to the right areas where they are doing good job. How do you deal with the lack of space, which was something that was declared by Department of Public Works in its presentation and Department of Arts and Culture, that they cannot build these facilities in previously disadvantaged schools because of space. I don't know what, I disagreed with that, but I want to hear from you if you are able to do that, you are able to build and establish these facilities in such schools or communities. Now, you also speak of equipment. In your presentation, when you speak of focus areas or sporting codes, you speak of all these other codes without indigenous. Only when you speak of competitions or awards, probably sporting awards, you speak of indigenous games. What equipment do you help with in terms of indigenous games? You speak of the limited DSX budget. I want to find out, where is Public Works? Or is this a duplication of what Department of Arts and Culture in partnership with Public Works do? So you are also running a parallel project where government, and very funny because department puts so much money, more money than it puts into other federations that deal with sporting codes that are previously known to be Black-dominated sports. The MIG, municipality infrastructure, if you are saying you've got limited, do you probably have any partnership or any contribution by the Department of Public Works through, or the municipal, what happens with the municipal infrastructure grant, which is also identified as funding that must establish, or a role that must be played by municipality to fund such infrastructures. Page 19, your picture shows, if you can maybe, in your response, put up the picture on page 19, which shows a very inferior structure. Whether it is a multi-purpose, I suppose it's a multi-purpose according to you, but I can tell you that it is in a rural area or previously disadvantaged area. Can you please indicate where that sporting facility is? And then also indicate where the sporting facility is on page 20. Because the quality, there's one that shows inferior quality, and there's one that shows quality, proper quality. What is your staff complement? Considering that you are expressing the lack of, you said trustees, that's why you are limited in terms of developing this infrastructure. In a country where it is calling for job creation, with such millions that are pumped to your organization as contrary to what is pumped into other organizations, what is your role in contributing towards the job creation? Because I'm sure you can do with the little that you can contribute in terms of employing those who are technically on the ground, not the trustees that you are talking about, who are sitting in, sorry, in luxurious boardrooms and discussing the whole day and getting more compensation that even staff members who are on the ground and earning 2,500 or 3,000 rands. Those are my questions, Chair. Yeah, here's the picture, Chair. You see that picture? It shows you, I don't know whether it's a multi-purpose, maybe, I don't know, it's a multi-purpose sporting facility. Show number 20. Page 20, please. You see that school, it tells you that that school is not in the rural area. I would vouch it's not in the rural area, neither it is in the township. And you can tell just the glimpse of that sporting facility that it is a proper facility than what we have just seen in page 19. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, firstly, I want to welcome the report. I want to welcome the report because, you know, having attentively paid attention to the presentations, there's not much that, from my point of view, that we need to complain about. I think the Sports Trust is a very noble trust. And having listened to the presentation, the intentions are pure, the intentions are good, and I want to welcome that. And it is not always where one must pick a fight with people who come before us and do presentations. We must pick our fights. We must not forever think that we must put the gloves must come off. In this case, there's no gloves coming off from my side. I just want to touch on some things that was presented to us, which is of a grave concern. And I also want to make proposals to make sure that we address these shortcomings. One of the things, or let me just briefly run through it. There's mention made of lightening is needed at facilities. That's for obvious reasons. Lack of maintenance by schools in certain municipalities. That is quite obvious. And lack of fixtures from schools. That is a critical concern that must be addressed. Now, I like to always sweep in front of my own door, and in this instance, I'm going to make reference to where I'm from and a municipality I served as a councillor for our party, the Patriotic Alliance, back then, and draw experience from what I've witnessed there. It is so true when I look at the challenges mentioned by the Sports Trust that I think one of the worst performing municipalities is Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality when it comes to lack of maintenance from a municipal side. The issue that we have, and we must never disregard the importance of the challenge that were raised here. The issue that we have is that the budget is not enough to supply the need in our country. That's a primary problem that we have. We keep on telling people that, don't worry, this financial year, we don't have enough. We'll try next financial year. And people become disheartened. People become despondent because for how many years have they been told about next financial year we are going to try, and they still are waiting for things to be delivered. Therefore, because of the budget challenges that we have, I want to highlight the importance to impose a prerequisite when a school becomes a beneficiary of, let's say, a combi court or any other sporting facility. A prerequisite when that particular school becomes a beneficiary of that infrastructure must be told in no uncertain terms, because where I come from, I'm from Galvandale. In the northern areas of Nelson Mandela Bay, we've got about 97 schools only, just in the northern areas. And it's all disadvantaged communities that live there where I come from. And with that amount of schools, how long is it going to take Sports Trust to service 97 schools? We are not going to be around to see the day. So the Sports Trust, in my recommendation, is that once a school becomes a beneficiary, say to the school, look here, I see in the catchment area where you are, there are 5 other primary schools and 4 other high schools. Give a high school a combi court, give a primary school a combi court, and they must incorporate those schools in the catchment area. So it was with 2 schools being serviced. That 2 schools can accommodate at least a dozen of other schools in the catchment area. Because we cannot focus on one particular area, which is where I come from. Other people must also become the beneficiaries. So that is my recommendation. I would want to make that if a school is not prepared to incorporate other schools to benefit from the infrastructure that is put at their premises, then they must not be given the sporting facilities. Because once we do that, we are then inculcating something that has eluded us for many years, which is our kids do not have sporting fixtures, inter-school sports. I was very naughty at school, I must admit. But there's one thing that kept me going to school when I didn't want to go to school. There was a rule at school, if you skip school one day, you are not going to partake in sports for this week and next week. So because of sports, I end up going to school every day because I didn't want to be on the sideline. So many kids go to school because there's something to look forward to other than the academic reasons. That brings people together. So there's not much further I want to say. Let me just have a look here quickly. No, there's not much further I want to say, Chairperson. But I want to say thank you very much to the Sports Trust. Thank you for what you are doing, what you are trying to do. And I wish you all the best with finding international sponsors to come on board and to address the shortcoming of caretaking for facilities that results in vandalism. Because it's hard so when good intentions and good money is plowed into a community, and then you end up with all that being in ruins, which I have witnessed personally, and many of us surely did too, because it is sad. It is really sad. So when you get to the schools, lastly, when you get to the schools, because I'm very happy that you are raising the point that you are focusing on schools. Schools is the platform for our grassroots. That's where grassroots sports are being entertained. That's where our future stars are being made. It starts at grassroots. So thank you for focusing on the schools. But also the schools, what we must try and do when we get sponsors on board is we must always try and get funding to pay for a security guard at the school. If it's 2 shifts a day, it's fine. But that is very critical because it's a small investment. We're creating a job opportunity by getting somebody employed as security or 2 or 3 people employed as securities. And in so doing, we're saving the millions of rands that is spent at the schools with little less investment in paying and creating jobs for security guards. Thank you so much, Chairperson, and thank you to the Sports Trust.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. Honorable members, there is another meeting on 10 o'clock. May I request members to be concise and let us focus on the questions and clarifications related to the presentations in order for us to make most of our time pertaining to productive discussions that stems from the presentations. The Honorable Molatani.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and let me also greet everyone on the platform. Thanks for the presentations from the Sports Trust as well as the DSEC Chairperson. Honorable Malons, yes, I support you. The gloves are on. We don't take off any gloves. All what we want, it's for the department as well as the Sports Trust to come and tell us what they do with the funds that the DSEC is giving them. Accountability, it's all that we want. Chairperson, I think I will have about two questions both on DSEC as well as Sports Trust. Let me first start with the DSEC, Chairperson. On the APPs of 25-26, Department present that they are going to build 50 sports facilities, and then 47 are earmarked for sports, 3 are earmarked for arts, culture, and heritage. And out of that 47, I think 22, they said it's for upgrade, 2 it's for refurbishment, 23 it's a complete new construction. I just want to check with the DSEC. Is Sports Trust going to be the one that is going to implement this, that is going to implement this projects that I've just mentioned? Are they going to be implemented through Sports Trust, or are they going to be implemented by the department? As a majority of their infrastructure project, they will be talking about the Sports Trust. And 2, I just want to check with the this Sports Trust with DSEC. Why are our projects implemented by Sports Trust, not by DSEC, Chairperson? And then I think my next question, I will go to the Sports Trust. Sports Trust, when they implement the projects from the DSEC, do they advertise for different companies to bid on the tender, or do they have the companies in their database which they are using? If yes, they have companies in their database that they are using. How many companies did they appoint, and for how long has those companies been appointed? Where does those companies coming from? Is it Gauteng, Free State, Northwest, or all those provinces, Chairperson? Because now you just put us on a tight corner to say that we must be brief, because I was going to wait for the answers so that I can be able to continue with some of my questions. Chair, Sports Trust, on those projects that they've done, did they develop any small companies in the area where they are, and how many? Chair, there's a noise. I'm not sure it's from where. Thank you, Chair. How many small companies did they develop in the areas where they are busy doing their project, Chairperson? And how many facilities? I've seen that slide where they've shown the facilities that they've made, and on those facilities, I just want to check why Gauteng got the highest number of facilities, whereas Gauteng it's not a rural area. Why are we not doing majority of those in those areas where we know that it's very difficult to have even just a simple football?
When you arrive, you will still be interested.
Now, on this, when I asked about this, she said...
Please proceed, Honorable Moletsane. My apologies for that.
But Chair, these nurses, they are disturbing us, Chairperson.
It's Honorable Mteto.
I couldn't detect who it was.
It's Honorable Mteto.
We've respected members on the platform, all of them, when they were presenting. Can they respect us, Chair?
Yeah, honorable members, please mute your gadgets so that we can have an opportunity to hear the questions of the Honorable Molatani. Proceed, honorable member.
Thank you, Chairperson. The other thing, Chair, when they built this sports facility in any area where they build those sports facilities, did they went and check if there's a need for that particular sports facility to be built in that area, or they are just going there and build the facility without even doing to check if the community needs that sports facility? And Chair, criteria which they follow to identify where these facilities are going to be built. They must explain to us which criteria they follow to identify where this facility are going to be built. The thing that I was raising regarding that, some of the questions I need an answer now so that I can be able to have a follow-up question, because it's very difficult. The other thing, Chairperson, on the invite of South African Sports Award, I've seen that Sports Trust is part. Are they the implementing agency on that sports award? Are they the one who are implementing on behalf of the DSEC on the sports award? The other thing, when I was checking, I'm aware that the same Sports Trust, they are the one who are dealing with the logistics of the national championships for DSEC. This one specifically, I want to take it straight to DSEC. Why are they leaving this thing of implementation to Sports Trust, Chairperson? Why DSEC cannot do some of those things and then they give it to Sports Trust? Are we not going to have a situation where prices are inflated because the person knows that I'm the only provider, there is no other provider, so the price that I'm going to give, they are going to be accepted, Chairperson? The other thing, on the last page when the CFO was presenting, can the CFO go to the last page when they were presenting, Chairperson?
Honorable Molatani, while we wait.
It's my last question, Chair. It's my last question.
While we go to that page, can you just give your, I couldn't get your last questions. Why DSEC leave what?
Why DSEC give a Sports Trust to be the one that is dealing with the logistics for the national championships? Because it gives them that leverage, it means they can be able to inflate prices because they know very well that they are not competing with any other service provider. It's only them who are dealing with logistics. And Chair, the other thing on that, I'm aware, even though I am not sure, I need to check it, that the Western Cape refuse Sports Trust to be the one that is dealing with their logistics. Can they explain that to us? No. After this page, the next page. The next page, Chairperson, after this, yes, no. This one, Chairperson. Chairperson, one thing that I've seen is that we don't have the financial statements from Sports Trust. We need the audited financial statement. Let me make an example. In 2017, Chairperson, the amount that was spent was 129 million. We don't have the audited bank statements. In fact, we don't have the audited financial statement, not bank statement, financial statement. How do we know, Hori, how was that money spent? How do we know, Chairperson? How do we know how was that money spent, Chairperson? We are being told that no, we've done the outside gym. as the portfolio, we've attended 2 oversights in Eastern Cape as well as in Northwest. Let me start with the one of Eastern Cape. When you do those outside gym, are they handed over to an organization, sports organization, or to the municipality, or they are just being built and left there? At the end of the day, it's just a white elephant which people are not using. That is why I was saying that when they do those outside gym, do they do their investigation to check if the local people are going to use that or not? Let me make an example where I'm staying here in Metsimaholo, specifically Sasolburg. Sasol as a company came and do those outside gym around the area. The first question that we've asked them, did you check if this community need those outside gym, or it's just one of those projects where you want to spend so that we can be able to say to the government that we've spent this money towards the community of Metsimaholo? Because some of those gyms, they are being put in an area where it's very difficult for a person to go and use them. 2, they don't even say to the community that here's the gym, have the committee that will take care of the gym, and have, in fact, it's something that are being put there and then they are just left like that. We went to Eastern Cape, specifically in PE. Next to the hall in PE, we find those gym, I think it's in Zwide. We find those gym, they are old, they are dilapidated, and by the looking of the eyes, they look like they were not used. There is this one other area where we went and we find those outside gym. They said, yes, we are using this outside gym. And as the neighboring people, we are taking care of them because we don't want to see people who are sitting here the whole day doing nothing. But on that area, it's just a white elephant, chairperson. White elephant that you don't know whether it's going to be used or not. We went to Ratlo, a very nice infrastructure that they are building there. But the big question that we asked was that, do the people of this area need this kind of infrastructure? Do they need it? Did you ever come and inform them that as the DSEC, we are going to come and build this kind of infrastructure so that they can be able to tell you that, yes, we need a soccer pitch. It must not be artificial grass. It must be a grass. Did we do that, chairperson, to go and inform those people? That's where you will see that municipality is not taking care of the facility. Are we informing them? Are we giving those facilities to organize a sports committee, or are we giving those facilities just to spend our money, chairperson? I think, Chair, lastly, if you allow me, I think I will come back. You know, the way CFO was presenting this the project and the statement. Chairperson, can we please know the qualification of the CFO? Because CFO was just presenting, but to me, it doesn't dwell in that she is a CFO. She doesn't talk to these numbers like the way we know we're expecting CFO to talk to us to these numbers. And lastly, if we can have the audited financial statement, that is the first thing, chairperson. The second thing, chairperson, what is it? But I've read so many issues, chairperson. DSEC must tell us that regarding the appointments, the APPs, whether it's going to be done by DSEC or is it going to be done by Sports Trust, and how do they get the companies that are working for Sports Trust? Thank you, chairperson.
The Honorable Mutambi.
you, Chairperson, for the opportunity. And I want to welcome the presentation. Maybe just to emphasize to say there's no one who's fighting with anyone, Chair. As the other colleague has said, we just want accountability. That's the reason why we will be raising issues. We are not fighting, and that should be the tone of the meeting. But at the end of the day, we want accountability. So let me start by the presentation that is provided for by the department. There's an indication on the slide 4 that says that special projects, they only assist, may be identified on ad hoc basis. I've got a problem with that statement. Ad hoc basis, so there's no planning. What happens? Can the acting director general explain that? And also to say that the department signed an SLA with the trust prior to the transfer of the fund. And then the trust is required compliance such as audited financial statement and reports. What is worrying, Chair, on slide 5? It's reported that the trust is up to date with their compliance submissions. But at the same time, the Sports Trust did not submit its financial for the year under review. So what does this statement mean? Unless it's just a malicious compliance to provide reports. We need clarity. What is what here? Because also, if you are saying they've been holding their meeting, then they should have then also considered the financial report in terms of the governance requirements. I'm interested also to say what has been happening on those virtual board meetings. That's my issue. Then there is on slide 6 up to slide slide 7. You see there are projects there that are listed. It's the questions that I'm still raising to the department chair. There are projects that are listed which had the completion dates like July 2023, but the feedback is pending. 12 July 23 pending. They are listed there. There are projects that are listed pending, which the completion dates had already passed by. Even if we go to slide 7, it's the same thing. And then I should think this report like that is incomplete for us. We need to be given reasons why the completion date were not met. And then especially the DSEC ones in particular, those are the ones that are funded by the department, because you cannot afford to have a situation where you have projects that get completed. And then also understanding why the trust was established and registered with the High Court, with the Master of the High Court. The main objective of the trust is to develop sports across all disciplines and in all levels in South Africa, with a special focus on sports infrastructure and equipment for the historically disadvantaged communities. But when you look at figure 2 of the presentation, for all projects since 1994 up to 2025 change, I'm very much worried with the status quo. I think Honorable Mteto has dealt with that over the past 31 years. The province that have greatly benefited is Gauteng, and then followed by the Eastern Cape. And then you look at this for more than 3 decades, provinces like the rural poor in line with the establishment of this trust. The rural poor province, there seems to be nothing happening there. Just few things there that are there. And then you ask yourself to say, this was established to specifically benefit those rural communities. But you see the provinces that have benefited here mainly is the ones that are in the urban areas. I just want to understand this anomaly. Somebody must take accountability and responsibility and tell us what has been happening here. Because the way as it is, I think is an issue that is of concern to all of us. Having said that, Chair, let me come to the actual presentation by the sports trust themselves. They have listed a list of challenges in their slides, a list of them, a list of challenges that one see. Then and then the issue that one has concern on with regard to the issue of the which they are raising with regard to the limited income streams. And then they talk about fewer projects implemented. Where I'm seated, Chair, I want to know from the sports trusts what innovative funding models or partnership is this entity exploring to reduce over reliance on a limited pool of funders and also unlock additional sources. Then the issue that I also want to understand, I want to also understand how are you able to implement such a wide stretch of key objectives with only 4 executive management and 6 administrators, and they are based in the city called Woodmead in Johannesburg? And I want to also understand from the team, how are you able to maintain the quality with such small staff? Or are you using implementing agents? And if indeed you are using implementing agents, I think somebody asked this, who are these implementing agents? Because as we move around communities, there are NPOs and NGOs that tell us that they've been applying and they are not considered. And these are the people that are in those local communities who can be able, who knows what to do. And then the other issue that one want to understand, you're raising the issue of maintenance and poor quality of implementation. And then I want to understand, having identified this challenge, what are the quality control or deliverables you are putting in place with your other partners? Because when I look at this, you look to say some of these members of the private sector, these are big companies that has got all the requisite infrastructure. But then for you to come and tell us that then there's issue of quality implementation, I've got a problem. And then the other issue that I want one to talk to is that for there has to be a minimum requirements for sports facilities. And then I will have, maybe they can share with us the implementation plan that they have developed to that effect. And then because the other issue that they're saying poor reach to provincial government, poor reach to local government, whereas you have got a department that is also part, though they've been there, that is also part of the trustees. Though the department must also talk to us to say, why are they not submitting the representative to the board of trustees? But nevertheless, they have been done that in the past. Then when you tell us that you've got poor rich, what do you mean? Because are there any effort? Because I don't think any reasonable mayor or a premier or an MEC of sports in the province will deny such an opportunity if you're working together. So the other issue you talk about other sports federations that are not part of the trustee of the football trust. Was there an invitation sent to them and they did reject that? So these are the issues that I'm also saying. Also, when you're raising the issue, there's lack of maintenance, and then you can't build a facility and then don't put aside money for maintenance. So these are some of the issues that one want to understand. Are you actually working with all these other government entities, but also with the department being the lead department, should be the one that facilitated that? So for now, Chair, that's because of time. I'm looking at the time. That's where I need to end, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mutambi, Honorable Mkunu, and then finally, Honorable Makato.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, everyone. I have just 2 questions because of time. What governance processes are in place to regularly evaluate and refresh the pool of trustees, ensuring diversity of expertise and ability to attract new partnerships and funding streams. The second question is, to what extent does the Sports Trust engage with and integrate all relevant national sports federations, and what is being done to expand federation representation within its structures? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mkunu. The Honorable Makata.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And also thank you for the presentation. I'll just go straight to the questions so that in future you must know what is happening. I just want to know the names of the companies and the procedure to appoint those companies. And at the same time, for how long did those projects been appointed? Because we can see the different projects, but we don't know and we don't understand what's going wrong. So we need to know some of the projects are highlighted by Honorable Mutambi and Honorable Mulotan. At the same time, can you please go to the Sports Trust? I just want to ask something about the Sports Trust. Can I have a slide, the Sports Trust?
You may, Honorable Makata, just indicate which slide you would like them to fly.
That one, which speak about the poor maintenance of poor maintenance of the municipalities, poor maintenance of what. So I just want to see that slide. Let me see. Yeah. So because they speak about the lack of maintenance, and then all of them, if you can see them, I just want to know the strategies, or as the department, how will they come around with these things, because they must not remain like this one. In future, they must have something concrete. So I just want to know the strategies to go about, let's say, the lack of maintenance. What must they do so that in future something must be happened? Facilities not being optimally utilized. How do they going to optimally utilize those denied of the usage and everything? So I just wanted to the question on this, if they can give us the strategies, how are they going to go about with these things, so that we can see, or in future something is going to happen. So I think on the issue of the finance, I'm covered by other comrades. So thank you very much for the sake of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Most of the...
Chair?
Who's that?
It's the Deputy Minister.
Oh, welcome, Deputy Minister.
Yeah, man, you never recognize me. I don't know, is it because of you don't know my other name?
No, what we do, Minister, when we start this meeting, we assess who is in this meeting, and sometimes when we have Zoom meetings, I've been informed.
Maybe the administrator doesn't know my other name. It's fine, Chair, for the sake of time. You know, I was motivated by one member who spoke so well about the Sports Trust, and I really felt that if staying quiet makes things easier, should not say anything in a personal or general situation, even if we strongly disagree.
Yeah,
I'm the deputy
PM,
minister. Hello.
Can we deal for the sake of time with the questions? I will definitely give you an opportunity at the end of this meeting, if that is fine with you.
No, it's just a contribution, and I would also want the trust to respond to me. It's just a comment.
Okay.
I will not have anything to say because
that's fine.
I don't have any story to share. I don't have any project that I can say. I can vouch for the trust to continue to be funded by the department.
You're welcome, Deputy Minister. Please proceed.
Yes, I just wanted to reflect that, to say that it's been a year. I've been in office for a year. And, some of the questions that were raised about leadership style and accountability, those are some of the things that I also get frustrated as the deputy minister. Chair, very interestingly, the only time I was involved with the trust, I was destined to open a facility in Polokwane, and they wanted to spend almost the same amount that they spent to build the same facility to refurbish so that I can go and open it. I then recommended that we take that money and redirect it to another project in Ulundi. And with the very same, almost the same amount that they wanted to go refurbish the existing structure that they built less than 2 years, they were able to build one big facility, beautiful facility. That was my only time and the only time and the only project that I was involved and that I got to understand what the trust is all about. I laughed even when they hosting the Sun City golf games. I went there just to inquire about tickets, things that we normally don't see as important. And I was told, no, it can't be given to the DM, it's for the minister. So I really don't know who the Sports Trust is serving. And a question that came out strongly here, I think more than 4 or 5 members, they've raised that question. Who decides on the projects that they must implement? Also, as the deputy minister, I will use this platform also to ask that question. Who decides on projects that they're supposed to implement? Because as things stands, it looks like it's a one-man show. They do as they please, and there is no accountability at all. And also, department should not continue to give Sports Trust money. The Sports Trust must go out there and source external funding. They must go get people who can donate, who can partner with them so that they can sustain themselves. They were not established to become an easy way for the department to implement projects on behalf of the department. So, Chairperson, I also wanted to say that because I'm also not happy about the Sports Trust. As much as one member spoke so highly of them, he knows where they are implementing projects. He can vouch for everything that they do. But me, as the deputy minister, I have no good story to tell about the Sports Trust. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Deputy Minister and members, you are putting me in a very difficult position. And that's why I requested when we started first, if we are facing situations where we have entities appearing before us, and then members do a side comment, and as a result, one side comment has resulted that every member has to respond. And I am not going to stop members to respond because a side comment has been made. And always the deputy minister is part of the executive. And my quest is that we must focus, refocus on the discussion that we have, and give direct questions to either the entities who is representing. And that is how I think we should engage with one another. It is clear from what I hear now, what the deputy minister is saying. that there are problems, and that problems must be sorted out with the executive, with the Department Sports, Arts and Culture. And from what I heard here in terms of the presentation, we need another discussion. We need another platform. And clearly, the Deputy Minister is also raising issues that may or may not have an effect, to her roles and responsibilities, something that we have asked in the past as well. Now, I also requested that we must keep these conversations concise. I don't think that the time will do justice to this, but definitely my assessment here is a definite re-engagement with the sports, arts and culture, as well as the executive authority, so that we can iron out all of these issues. I am going to give an opportunity. Most of the questions has been asked to the Sports Trust. And I cannot defend or comment on a particular issue if someone in this particular case has been overlooked when it comes to the execution of projects. This committee is not praising us. And this committee, each member will be given the opportunity to represent his or her views, not for his or her party, but for the country, in terms of how we see things. A number of issues has been raised. And Honorable Molotsane, Honorable Mutambi, and Honorable Mkune has raised an issue pertaining to maintenance. And if we come back in terms of our oversight, when it comes to this particular issue on maintenance, we are aware during our oversight that a certain Mr. Libukhang has taken us also on all of these areas. He's no more there. So, that's why I ask to the Sports Trust, give us these designations. And that's why it happened. So there is so much in-depth interrogations and questions where, when the presentation has been made, as Matthews wanted to go on instead of the CFO. But there are problems, but we have to deal with the problems. I'm going to give an opportunity now to the Sports Trust to respond to what members has asked, most of it to the Sport Trust. Then I'm going to give an opportunity to DSEC as well. And then we will take it further. But from where I'm sitting, we need another engagement. We cannot have a deputy minister coming to this platform and raise questions on what is transpired with the execution of duties by Sport Trust. The deputy minister is part of the executive and must actually be the one who must lead this delegation. We understand the reasons and that the minister is not here, but the deputy must actually lead this allegation instead of asking questions unto one another.
Unfortunately, I'm not, Chair. I'm not privy to do that. And you also cannot dictate for me what to say and what not to say. And if we keep quiet when things are getting wrong, the system is going to collapse. So you can't say that, Chair. In fact, you should appreciate that I'm being honest with the portfolio committee.
Yes, I understand and I have respect for that, Deputy Minister. What I'm saying, when entities appear before us, it is either the minister or the deputy minister that must lead the delegation. And in terms of what you have said, Deputy Minister, we should, and if you've been in the meeting since the start, you should have said, this is the issue, then I would not allow this meeting to proceed because one of the executives, which is a high-profile person, and that is the Deputy Minister of Sports, is not in a position to do so. So the executive, one of the executive must lead the entity and I think that is the norm. But I hear what you say, but let's see how can we solve this. I really don't want an open discussion on this. But what I'm saying, we need a further discussion on this, unless we agreed to postpone this meeting and have a follow-up meeting. I really don't want us to engage to and fro on internal problems that must be solved with the department and the executive. And when the department and the executive, as well as the sports trust, appear before us, there should be clarity unto this committee, because this committee are now in the dark as far as this whole meeting is concerned.
No, Chairperson, my humble apologies. I think I agree with what you're saying. I want to go to the drawing board with the DSEC management and the sports trust. I need accountability. I also need a breakdown of all the projects that they have implemented, so that when I get into this meeting, I should speak on behalf of the department and we should be a collective. I would really appreciate that.
No, thank you for that. I think that is a good way forward. I also I think let us get all these answers, and then let us also finally ask the deputy minister to come up. Can we mute the video of Bertha, please? Oh, that's the deputy minister. So let me give my list. Let's concentrate on what we want, and what our recommendations will be in this meeting, because we have now received a serious hint of concerns by one of the most high-profile persons in this meeting, which is the deputy minister, and I'm going to grant that. But what I want us to do, first, I would like the secretary to take note that we want a detailed breakdown of the financial transactions and movements of funds during COVID-19 pandemic. That stems from a number of members as well, including notable expenditures, allocations, and transfers. Then also we would like to inquire who has received these funds, who to it has been dispersed, what specific projects and initiatives was funded in this particular meeting. And then also, if was there any unusual significant transactions in all of this. That is I just want to the COVID thing. And then also in terms of the recommendations and what the members are saying, we would like to have a full report on how the sports trust see itself in its current form, taking into consideration that the sports trust is quite there for some years, and how do they see themselves, and also the role players pertaining to the whole ecosystem and to promote the enterprise as such. Then, in terms of what Honorable Molotane has said, we also want a list of the CVs and qualifications of the sports trust. We are not going to ask a list and CVs or qualifications of an individual. We are going to ask a list and CVs of the entire board members, whatever the case may be. So, honorable members, let's hear to the responses. I'm going to give them enough time to respond. Following their responders, I'm asking members, listen to the response carefully, formulate some of recommendations that you would like us to add in this meeting. And then I'm going to also ask the deputy minister to also add hers to this meeting. And I think that will really help us and give us some progress on this particular matter. there is a huge disparity when it comes to what Honorable Mutambi has said on developments in Gauteng. Please inform us on all of these things. That's why I asked the question when we start. Is there duplication? How do you see your roles? What is transpiring there? Sport Trust, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to the questions. Members, I'm going to appeal to you to write down the recommendations on what you have heard from one another and also heard from the Deputy Minister. The Sports Trust, please be frank. And Chris.
Thank you, everyone, honorable members, and the chairperson and the deputy minister. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you very much. I would like to respond in terms of the question that was raised in terms of how we identify the beneficiaries and where we place the sports infrastructure. As you will recall, our presentation clearly indicates that our partners and trustees identify the beneficiaries and the location of where sports infrastructure or whatever sports support needs to be provided. For example, in terms of the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, we would receive a list of beneficiaries where we would need to install sports facilities. Similarly, that for our other trustee partners, corporates, where they would like us to place facilities. In terms of disparity between the various provinces, as I've said, we enter into partnerships with other provincial governments as well. And Gauteng government was more proactive in one year in contracting our services to place more sports facilities into their communities. And that's why you will see a higher number of sports facilities in the Gauteng province. The other sports facilities that you would see in the other provinces is more sports facilities that has been delivered by the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. With the inquiry whether we have a prerequisite in terms of the beneficiaries, in terms of sharing the resource, in terms of maintenance. Yes, we do. We do. Once a beneficiary has been identified by the funding partner, we then engage with the stakeholders in that community. If it's a school, we do engage with the school principal, the governing body, the Department of Education, the community club structures within that, surrounding that school community, to ensure that they understand the resource that they are getting, and also in terms of that the prerequisite is for the school to share this resource with the surrounding schools and community club structures. They also sign an agreement in terms of taking ownership for the maintenance of the facilities. Most of our facilities is located in schools because of the fact that there's a caretaker, and also that the schools have security on board to ensure the safety of the facilities. Unfortunately, we know our communities. Sometimes when there are issues, they also do vandalize schools, and that is beyond our control, and sometimes also beyond the control of the school community. So that is what we are working with in terms of schools. What we can do, we are more than willing to share the database of all the facilities that we've done since 1994 to date, and we will provide that to the secretary of this committee. And that
Ms. Matthew, on the issue of the facilities, and one province has been more active than the other, I really don't buy that. You know, in the Eastern Cape, and now in Gauteng, so some of these facilities sprouted up like flowers. And that is why we are asking, what has the Sport Trust done to have this equitable distribution of facilities in the areas? Can you please also on your submission, even sent to us, you know, the planning and the approval of the processes, as Honorable Mutambi and Honorable Moletsani and Mukunu has asked on these facilities, you know, in other provinces more than the other provinces.
Chair, there was a break. I didn't hear your full question, but if I get the gist of it, the question is how one province has got more facility or engaged our services. Just to clarify, we do engage with the provinces and they have the discretion whether they want to use our services as the sports trust to contract our services to place sports facilities on their behalf in their identified beneficiaries. Unfortunately, some of them have not enlisted our services, and that is their prerogative, and that's why you will see the skewed numbers on our delivery. But I'm aware that they have used other service providers to deliver similar facilities that we have installed on behalf of our partners. Does that answer the question and clarify?
Not really, but proceed. We want the process and the planning and the approval of these things in the provinces. It cannot be that there's a, you know, disjunction in distribution of facilities in provinces. It must be equally done, and I think that's why this the Sports Trust is there to do so and to assist. We cannot come to the committee and say because they were more proactive, we did not go there, whilst there is potential also in other provinces. You go to the Eastern Cape. Go to the Eastern Cape. The place thinks of these facilities, while there's a complete absence of these facilities in other provinces. But please proceed.
Honourable Chair, we fully agree with your sentiments and that of the members, and we will continue to engage with the provincial governments, especially in the Eastern Cape. We have for many years engaged with them to ask them to utilize our services because we believe in the quality of the products that we install in communities. And I will allude to that in a little bit. As I was saying, we will share the database of where we've installed facilities for your records. In terms of the maintenance, I've also alluded that once we build a facility, the funding that we receive is only for the building of the facility. No component is awarded for maintenance, and therefore once we install a facility, the responsibility of ownership and maintenance is then transferred to the beneficiary. And that's how we've operated for many years. And also just to point out that the facility that we install mostly in schools, it's really one of the top class facilities in the country and in the world, because you won't find this facility at private schools either. We went and investigated what is a better solution for maintenance in our country for our disadvantaged communities, because we know that they are burdened and they do not have the financial resources to repair facilities after 5 years. The facility that we install is an interlocking tile service that lasts 20 years and more, and virtually no maintenance. All they have to do is sweep it and mop it. So we've really invested our time and energy in researching a product that will be of value to our communities. Also, in terms of a health perspective, we've looked at the quality of that. And it is virtually, it has this lateral forgiveness that moves with your body. So there is less impact on the joints and the knee and on the body. So that is what we have been putting into schools and communities. And I know this is a pricey facility because it's a green facility. And anything green, as we all know, is expensive once off. And a lot of the provinces know about the facility, and when we've engaged them, One of the arguments that they raise is that it's too pricey, but if you look at the longevity of 20 years compared to artificial surface that you must probably maintain after 5 and 7 years, and it's got a lifespan of 10 years, we are really giving you value for money in terms of what we're putting into communities. Gone are the days that we're just putting poor quality facilities just because we have to. Our people deserve in terms of sports facilities out there. May I please continue? Then in terms of the question, in terms of how do we procure services, the type of facility that we install in schools, there is an accredited service provider that has to install this facility due to the quality of the facility and due to the guarantee of this facility. It has a 4-year warranty. And henceforth, we have a preferred supplier that the manufacturer had identified that can install this quality facility. And they have the rights to import this facility. This facility, some of the components are not manufactured in South Africa. And if you look at interlocking tiles, the best quality interlocking tiles is imported. There is not a South African manufacturer that manufactures that quality surface in the country. And also, once we're in a community where we install this facility, we do procure services from the local businesses in terms of what we require for civil works and so forth. So there is a component, and we do also employ local unemployed youth or community members for the duration that we are installing this facility in communities. In terms of in terms of the sports federations and so forth, serving on our board, we believe that SASCOC is the representative for the sports federations in the country and henceforth represent their interests on the board. However, as I've stipulated, when we are in a community, we work closely with those various sporting structures to ensure that they're on board and have access to the resource and ensure that they give support to the schools where possible. I'm just going through if I may just briefly touch on COVID. In terms of the COVID, and we will respond in writing as well, we had received a large chunk of funds from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to disburse COVID funds to the identified beneficiaries that we had received directive from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture to disburse these funds to. And we regularly reported to the department. We had regular meetings weekly to give updates in writing and verbally in terms of how the funds were being dispersed. And that is how we had reported on those funds. So it has also been audited by the AG in that financial year. In terms of the facilities that the member was asking on page 19, that was 2 cricket nets that we were requested to install. We did not do the whole facility. We install as per the request or the directive that we received from the funding partners and not beyond that. And that is why you would see the 2 cricket nets. That was the request. In terms of thinking, yes, that facility is in Soweto, and that was funded by Nedbank through the Nedbank Cup. Just to explain that the winners of the Nedbank Cup has the discretion to award a multi-purpose sports court to a school of their choice. Once again, the Sports Trust does not have input to direct where these facilities are placed. And henceforth, this facility was then placed in Soweto. The pending handovers is where when it says Yeah, when it says pending on the database of sports facilities, it means that the facility was completed by the Sports Trust by a certain date. It is awaiting handover by the minister or the deputy minister, and that is communicated to the department, and they will then feed back to us when such facility will be handed over. In terms of the deputy minister reference a facility that she was going to hand over, or that she had handed over, and I was present at that handover. And the request was because of the negligence of the school maintaining the facility, the request was from the department that we would look at whether we need to do some refurbishments to bring it up to standard. It was the deputy minister that then said, no, going forward, no facilities will then be upgraded to meet the standard. We need communities to take responsibility for the facilities and the maintenance that we've placed in their hands. And on that basis, we proceeded and correctly, when we then redirected the funds to another facility. I think some of the issues that was raised by the deputy minister, as you correctly pointed out, there should be an engagement between the Sports Trust, DSAC, and the ministry, and I think we need to table that in that forum, and the outcomes would then be communicated from the DSAC to the portfolio committee, because I think that's the rightful place. Is there any other items that I did not respond to?
Mr. Chair, I just want, this is the chairperson of the Sports Trust. I just want to add also two issues on the responses. The one issue is the issue that also worries me a lot, and that is the issue regarding facilities in rural areas. As the executive director has mentioned, currently the model that the Sports Trust used since inception is that we implement projects based on the directive of the trustees. For an example, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture will direct us, listen, we need 3 sports courts in Limpopo at these particular schools. We can't change that. That's what we are actually, the partnership and the service level agreements requires us to do. And it's the same case with these big companies that we work with. For an example, this picture you see now in front of you of this court in Soweto, when, say, Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs or Mamelodi Sundowns wins the Nedbank Cup, the team itself will say, listen, we want a sports court in Mamelodi or Soshanguve, and the Nedbank will then direct us to implement that court. However, there is one issue that also worries me personally as a chairperson, is the fact that we don't have full cooperation and partnership with the provincial governments. As Anita has indicated, the most active provincial government to date has been the Gauteng provincial government. And I think what we are going to do in the future is to make sure that we've got a slice of the devolved budgets in provincial governments, because I think we can do a lot, especially those provinces like Limpopo and the Northern Cape that are mostly in the rural areas. So such partnerships would enable us to have more projects in rural areas, and that would include municipalities that are in rural areas, and hence our strategy to partner with the municipalities to access the municipal infrastructure grants in order to do that. And I also take the challenge that has been put from one of the honorable member. I think also the DM has mentioned this, that we also have to go out to look for funding from our side as the trust. And that is one of the strategies that the board has actually identified that we must do. And I also must take this opportunity to say sorry to the DM for not getting the ticket at the Nedbank Golf Challenge. I'm sure this year you'd surely get that challenge, that ticket. Lastly, in terms of needs assessments, I think this was mentioned from some of the honorable members, that how do we ensure that the facilities that are put, correlate or relate to or align with the needs of such communities. As we've consistently mentioned, the needs are actually identified by our partners, the trustees and the government. So the government would say, listen, go and put an outdoor gym or a sports court at this village, in this area, in this province, and we do it according to that. So at this stage, we don't take a leading role in identifying areas where these facilities are made, except when the chairperson or the board identified areas where we have projects that are actually owned by the sports trust itself. But other projects, for example, all the projects that we did in Gauteng, the Gauteng government identified these areas in partnership with the Department of Education, where we installed that big number of the facilities that you've mentioned there in various schools across the province. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula. The CFO, can you respond to the issue of the audited statements? CFO?
I think I can also respond to that, because that's also my responsibility as the chairperson
Now,
of
you see, Mr. Matebula, that's why we ask all the designated areas of those responsible, and it is important that those in that positions to give us an answer on this particular issues.
Okay, all right.
CFO.
Okay, if I recall the question I was being asked about the audited financial statement for 2019, the other previous years, we do have them available. Whenever you need the copies, we can provide the copies. And then the current 2025, it's work in progress. It's not yet being finalized.
Has that not been finalized through the AG's office as well?
The auditors are still busy with the audit.
Okay, so is it possible after the process also to send those to the committee?
Okay, noted. I'll do so.
Thank you. I'm just having a look to see what is still outstanding of members. There is still 5 or 10 minutes that I will grant. Is there anything that you feel that is not responded to you? Can we touch on the issue of Honorable Mtetwa pertaining to the indigenous games vis-a-vis the budget? Because sometimes, and if not most of the times, we forget this particular domain, the indigenous games, as well as the art and culture lack of this whole exercise. Mr.
President, Chair, before, I'm not sure, would you also allow me before you close the meeting that my hand has been up for the past 80, not 45 minutes. Probably submit my questions in the form of recommendations after the chair's major presentations.
Okay, Honorable Kabo, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to pose that verbally. Mr. Matebula, can you respond on the arts and culture and indigenous games issue of Honorable Mtetwa?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I think that aspect I would actually refer to the DM and the executive team from the department. The reason for that is because we would implement any program or project relating to that as directed from the department. So we wouldn't necessarily initiate that from our side. So any project that's also something that is very dear to me. If I may mention that any program from the DM and a team regarding cultural games or indigenous games, we are ready as the Sports Trust to implement that. And that is would be the same situation with regard to any program or related programs from the provinces as well.
Mr. Matabula, can you also respond to the issue of the Sports Award as an implementing agency?
I'll refer that to the executive director, if you don't mind. Anita,
Okay.
would you please cover that?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In terms of the Sports Awards, we're not an implementation partner where we deliver a specific service in terms of maybe the component of procuring audiovisuals or anything of the sort. In the previous years, we were merely a paymaster where we had paid for certain services that the department has procured for the Sports Awards. We were not directly involved in the logistics of putting together the event. And I also just want to elaborate that we have two services that we deliver to the department. One, as an implementation partner, where we deliver sports equipment, kit and infrastructure and other support services. And two, where we act as a facilitator to receive income from the provinces for the national school games, and then to pay for the services that was procured by the department to make the games happen. So there's actually two components to what we then deliver to the Sports Trust in terms of the DSAC in terms of our services that we provide to make certain sport is accessible in the country for the disadvantaged communities. So I hope that
That's fine, Mrs. Matthews. The other thing is members are very unhappy with the spread and development or implementation or in various provinces. Are you in a position to tell us whether you do a need analysis in provinces and or communities on these developments?
Honorable Chair and committee members, as you will recall, I had said initially when we were set up as an organization, it was to support or help the government and the corporate sector where they want to implement sports services to communities. So
I do have the answer. So it's not the Sports Trust that identify those particular areas in particular provinces.
Correctly so. Even with our corporate partners, they identify the areas and the beneficiaries where they want sports services delivered.
And are we saying that DSAC is also a corporate partner in this particular case?
No, DSAC is a trustee and a founding partner of the Sports Trust, and we act as an implementation to facilitate fast, efficient delivery within good governance to our communities.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Khabo.
Can I just add, Mr. Chair?
Please do so, Mr. Matabula.
So if I can just be specific. So the DSAC is a trustee of the Sports Trust. And therefore, DSAC, for example, they've got National Sports Plan. They focus on infrastructure and rural areas and all of that. So they say, okay, in this financial year, we've got this many projects that would be implemented across all provinces in the country. Then they do their needs assessment, identify those areas where these facilities would be implemented. The DM, for example, indicated that she had to go and open one project. So then we implement all the project based on the directive from DSAC and launch the projects. We've got a way to ensure the longevity and sustainability of those projects, but it's not a sports trust that identify where the projects have to be implemented. And that would be the same with our corporate trustees as well.
Okay, are you in a position, Mr. Matebula, to submit that list? I'm asking you. I'm not going to ask DSEC because most of the time we ask DSEC a list of developments and events. It is not forthcoming. Are you in a position also to submit a list to the committee members, because committee members also resides in various provinces, so that they can also, have an eye open oversight on these issues, and or if possible also some involvement in these areas?
Definitely we are going to do that, but I'll also encourage the honorable members as well, because you are part of Parliament, to also provide input to DSEC in terms of the areas that are of most need. My view is that as public representatives, you are closer to these communities. So I think it will be great that you would provide this input to DSEC to say, listen, we believe that this area has got the most need. I'm sure the DM, would be amenable to look at that and ensure that development is spread evenly throughout the country. And from our side, our duty would be to liaise, and I mentioned this to the executive director as well, with the provinces, because there we have some control to have the provinces utilize us, and we do some good in various provinces as well, so that we can take it to ourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula. Members, please take note of that. It's a very wonderful gesture. Honorable Khabo?
No, thanks. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Chair.
Let me give. Do you have still something to say? Let me give Honorable Khabo an opportunity. Then I will come back to you, Ms. Matthews.
Thank you.
No, thanks. Thank you very much, Chair. I think firstly, I must, maybe as we appreciate the report presented, we must still emphasize that there is a need for us to have a follow-up meeting, which should be physical, and preferably the minister should be present, the chairperson, because a lot has been said in this meeting, and a lot of clarity is still needed based on what has been said in this meeting. But second to that, chairperson, I must also agree with the proposal that there should be no funding allocation for the trust up until we get the implementation plan in relation to the budget that is allocated to them. I'm saying this because of, from where I'm sitting, there's an impression created that the trust seems not to be having a clear plan, but rather would be instructed on an off basis as to when and where should there be intervention. And that raises an eyebrows, and it creates a space for either maladministration and corruption in the process. Because if you were to be given a blank check and not be told what, and not be told or not be clear as to what is it that you're going to do with that money, it becomes difficult for us as Parliament to play our oversight. And it is for that reason I also emphasize the issue that it must not be understood as we are stalling development, but it cannot be correct that we continuously give money and yet again we do not understand where is that money going to. But secondly, Chair, I would want to get clarity. I would recommend also that part of the report that must be given to us, Chairperson, apart from the implementation plan that they must submit, and that must be indicated that the department must not give the trust money up until we get a clear implementation plan that is aligned to the budget. Whether the meeting sits with the deputy minister and the minister, that should not be the decision, but that our instruction is clear as a committee. But second to that, Chairperson, if we can get clarity in terms of this board of trustees, their overall role, because they seem to be having unmeasurable powers, that to a large extent they can dictate the terms of operations of deciding where should the facility be built and which type of facility. And that on its own, it creates space for biasness. That's why we have seen other provinces being given them attention while others are being neglected. I must register my concern also and reject and vehemently reject the narrative that the executive director want to peddle in this meeting of claiming that provinces are not coming to the party. We'll get to that part. It must be understood that we do not agree and we vehemently reject that. Can we get clarity in terms of a detailed breakdown of the process that this Board of Trustees follows when identifying these areas of development and which type of infrastructure is being built today? Because Chairperson, it's worrisome that a Board of Trustees, whom to a large extent we do not even understand their financial contribution to the sports trust, they will just wake up and dictate the terms of operation. But also, Chairperson, they must equally give us a detailed breakdown of the financial contribution of each board trustee for the past 5 years, so that we can make a thorough assessment of between ourselves as government and this private sector, who has been making a meaningful contribution, so that we can assess the issue of power balances. Because it cannot be correct that you want to give us 10 rand and we give you 100 rand and you want to tell us that this board of trustees, especially when it has been proven through reports that this trust has deviated from the initial mandate or from its initial mandate, of which was to make sure that sport is accessible, especially in rural areas. Gauteng is not a rural area. Cannot be argued that. So they cannot argue that Gauteng has been prioritized because of they are coming to the party. Does it align to their mandate? No. The second issue, Chairperson, I've raised the issue of the implementation plan. Chairperson, can we get these financial reports, audited financial statements of the past financial years? 5 years, Chairperson. The past 5 financial years, including, obviously, there should be an indication of the accountants that has been used to conduct these financial statements, obviously aligned with the recommendations and audit reports. But second to that, Chairperson, they must equally give us the audit action plan for the past 5 years in responding to issues that has been raised by Auditor General. Chairperson, one thing that has created a problem for myself, it's an impression that has been created that there is no supply chain management process in this trust. In fact, to a large extent, it has been an impression is created that there is no competitive bidding here. There is just a group of contractors whom, to a large extent, they do not bid for anything. They are just given contracts, what we can assume is evergreen contract. And with that being said, Chairperson, I would like us to get a breakdown of the supply chain management processes, Chairperson, for the past 5 years in relation to each and every project that they've dealt with as a trust, but also a list of members who have been participating in these bid committees, including their minutes and attendance registers, Chairperson. If we can get that for the past 5 years, I just want to prove to you that to a large extent there's been some biasness to certain provinces here. But also, Chairperson, if you can get a list of all of these companies that have been benefiting from the trust for the past 5 years, the breakdown must be clear in terms of demographics. Is it a young person, an older person, a person living with disability, a woman? Give us a clear indication of the race. Give us a clear location as to where is this company coming from. Is it an emerging company? Is it a developed company? Give us a clear breakdown in terms of how have you managed to support emerging SMMEs from all of these projects that you have been providing us, Chairperson. You know, Chair, we must not only get qualifications of everyone, board members and officials, Chairperson. We must equally get a breakdown of employee-related compensation, including their benefits, so that we can make an assessment of each and every individual, Chairperson. Chair, but equally, the department is worrisome, and I still believe that we must have a meeting with the department separately. The department has proven over the past years that it does not have any capacity of managing any contract from its finish starting point to its completion point. And I'm worried that if the department it's yet to get duplicate in the form of a sports trust to implement, is it in a way saying that it's a relegation of duties in some form, or some sense in some duplication? In summary, Chairperson, can we get an understanding as to the breakdown or the minutes of the last interaction between the trust and the department? And in their report, Chairperson, funny enough, they're indicating that they are still awaiting the representative from the department, and yet continuously they are saying that they are interacting with the department. I would like to understand, how are they interacting with the department, and when was they interacting with the department? What were the issues that were discussed that will form part of the report that we are requesting, Chairperson? And Chairperson, others will submit them in writing because it's a very long list. I must indicate that we must equally reflect some behavior that seeks to create an impression that people do not want to account. You must listen to the tone of people when they are responding to questions. The chief director, when responding from time to time, is demonstrating an element of person who seems to be very much uncomfortable with being asked with pertinent questions, especially the ones that relates to the construction of these infrastructures between urban and rural areas, and the process that they follow. So I believe that let's have a physical meeting. Let's be clear that this post trust up until we get there, all these issues that we have convened our second meeting, there must not be any allocation because we are very clear, Chairperson. We are not going to adopt a budget. Even next week on our debate, we're going to be very clear. We're not going to adopt any budget that we do not understand what is it that is going to achieve and whether is it really addressing our core issues, of which is to make sure that services are getting closer to our people in small towns and rural areas. And with that being said, Chairperson, it must be clear that what the Deputy Minister has indicated in this meeting has reflected a clearly disconnect between the executive and generally the conduct of the administration as led by the acting director general. It cannot be accepted. This is one of the reasons why we should never accept approving the budget next week, Chairperson. But we'll continue persuading each other as to why must we not accept this budget, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Khabo. I believe that the professional staff will summarize all the key aspects and takeaways from this meetings. Was indeed a great pleasure for the first time to have met with the Sport Trust to understand their operations. Many issues has been mentioned, many issues has been raised of members, and we believe it will be taken up in our minutes as well, sent to the members, and also to send it back in terms of corrections if needs be. I am going to give an opportunity 3 minutes to Ms. Matthews. Then I'm going to ask the Deputy Minister to have a last word before I am going to close this meeting. Ms. Matthews.
Chairperson, maybe you've not seen my hand. I literally need less than 1 minute, please.
Proceed, Honorable Dana.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just want to register these following points. I don't believe, and I need guidance on this, if it is indeed so, that this budget of a sports trust must be exclusive for rural areas. Because you have historical disadvantaged communities which doesn't fall within the catchment of rural areas. We don't have executive authority. We've got an oversight role to play only. So we must be very careful that what we want to do doesn't interfere or borders on the interference of administration. Because we cannot do that as politicians, because from the sense that I get is that we want to overstep our authority that we have. And that is all I wanted to just table, Chairperson. Thank you.
Chair?
Yeah, my apologies. Honorable members, I'm not going to give an opportunity again.
No, Chair, I had my hand up, and the reason I had my hand up, it's a very critical question that I asked that was never responded to. Just an example of a clubhouse in the township, an example of a gym, an outside gym in a predominantly white area. And I'm raising this because also to respond to Mr. Daniels, we need to understand when we talk about transformation, it is not something that we conceptualize every day. It was conceptualized a long time ago. We're following the trajectory of transformation. One of the issues that we deal with in this committee constantly is transformation. So if they don't understand the concept transformation. They mustn't come and bring us new concepts that we don't understand, like a white African. There's nothing like that. We've heard it from PA. Please, can they give us those two examples only, Chairperson? Just those two examples. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, Honorable Mtetwa, this meeting is minuted. All of these issues will be on the minutes, and there is outstanding issues for the response. But I just want to ensure, Honorable Daniels, that as the chairperson, yes, I understand your concerns. I will always ensure that the committee operates within its mandate. And it must not be seen wrong. It must not be seen wrong, you know, when entities appear before us. Because my main focus as the chairperson is for us to focus on our oversight role. And this is precisely what we are doing here. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this, Mr. Daniels. And that's why it's not a question of overstepping our boundaries. You know, Honorable Mutambi, Honorable Mkunu, Honorable Monetsani, and Honorable Mtetwa has mentioned it now. Let me give you an example. We've been to Eastern Cape, and I'm saying it over and over, and this is since with whoever the previous governments. The place is flooded with these facilities that we are talking about that the Sports Trust is responsible for. Now here comes Mr. Jackie Matebula, and he says to us that yes, we should also be, you know, in the past, in this very committee, members had the opportunity to go and say, this is happening in my constituency there. Is it possible for assistance? I am doing this currently with the Director General. I contact her if there's no library in a particular place. And this is the opening that members would like to have to engage with the department to say, I'm having a constituency in Honorable Khabo, for instance. I don't have a facility in Christiana. And I can tell you now, I will make means to that the department together with the Sports Trust must see how they can go and help Honorable Khabo and Christiana. I'm saying it with the biggest and love and passion because I'm also from the Northwest. And if you go to Christiana, the people are standing in front of that shop. There's no work, there's no facility, there's no place to go for our children in Christiana. So this is the reason why Sports Trust is here. Now it is an eye-opener for us now to engage with Mr. Matebula, to engage with the department to say, please assist us. Mr. Tebogo, please assist us in Christiana. Not just only in Gauteng, as honorable members is mentioning here. So rest assured that we are not going to be quiet when it comes to our oversight role to see equal distribution in every single province, every single town. And not only to see that, but also to go and play a role to see is that stadium there. To see whether this place that has been mentioned about Sweden, we have made recommendations to the department to say, take this small equipment, put it just next to that. There's a, if I can remember, there's a community hall. Take this into the community hall because it was rust. So we are playing our oversight role, and members, we are not representing political parties here. We are representing the country and the goodwill of sports, and to see that there's social cohesion, one of the biggest things that we would like to have in this country. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, Ms. Matthews. Mr. Matebula, 1 minute if you want to say something, and then I'm going to ask the Deputy Minister to have a closing remarks. We have to close this meeting.
But before that, I'm sorry to interject. There were direct questions that I raised to the department, which to me is tantamount to misleading us here, Chair. And they remain unanswered. You see, because the critical issue that I was raising, they've reported that it's compliant, but we have got an issue that they've not been complying. And then also to me, I've read this in line with the report that they submitted to the same parliament in 2022. To me, it looks like it's a cut and paste, because also this issue of projects being identified on ad hoc basis, whereas we approve a strike plan and APP. We want to understand what criteria and what is the meaning of this special intervention. All my questions to the department chair were not responded to. Maybe they will be done in writing. I'm sorry to interject.
Yeah, if that is fine with you, but I think I'm going to give Dr. Kumalo an opportunity. How and what are the reasons for dealing with ad hoc approval of these facilities?
Chairperson.
Who's that?
Chair Molozani.
Yeah, just a second, Honorable Molozani, just a second. Let us just give an opportunity. You see, we are running out of time, and I'm asking. I've made notes, and the meeting is recorded. All of these issues must be responded to. And again, I'm asking.
With due respect, my chair. You know, we will always raise questions in the portfolio meetings. At the end of the day, we don't get any answers, Chairperson. And it can't be right. Even the DSEC, they will always run around to give us the answers, Chairperson. What is the use of us sitting in the meeting, whereas we know very well that we are not going to get any answers, Chair? It can't be right, Chairperson. Really, this is so frustrating for us as the members of parliament that we'll raise questions, we'll do this. Even others will say that, no, you'll send questions, then we'll respond later. We don't. The other thing, Chairperson, sports trust cannot just disappear like that. We've raised questions, directly questions to Sports Trust, and they haven't gave us answers to that, Chairperson. You know, this is the thing that we were raising in the past, that they make our work to be very difficult. And at the end of the day, it's us, the custodians of the budget, who's supposed to go and approve the budget. They're supposed to go and implement the budget. And if we can't, they can't give us answers. Are they going to implement the budget the way we are going to instruct them to do? They are not, Chairperson. This is uncalled for. It can't be in all the meetings that the meeting will adjourn. Some of the questions are not being answered, Chairperson. And I thought that earlier after DM has spoke, you were saying that we are going to have another meeting. There's a serious problem, Chairperson. And we cannot overlook those problems and say that let us continue the meeting as if nothing, everything is normal. There's a serious problem, Chairperson, and we need to attend those problems. Unless we want this sector to collapse, then it's fine if that's the way we want things to be. To me, I think Sports Trust, they must go back and redo their work. What they've just gave us, Chairperson, are just crumbs. They just gave us the leftovers. For an example, they've just talked about being the one who implement the issue of catering and so forth when they have events. If I may ask them, how much do this allocate to them, and how do they procure companies that are going to do that work? Because we are well aware it's a one-man show here. It's a one-man show. They will always call whoever that they want. It's simple for them to inflate the prices. We cannot be treated like this, Chairperson. We have been elected by the voters. We cannot be treated like this. If this is how they want things to be, then it's fine. We will come back and make their lives very difficult. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Molochala, I'm going to do the following on this particular meeting that we have. We are still outstanding with one day that we have a training on all of these issues, where we will invite from the portfolio side, maybe involve the chair of chairs also when it comes to these meetings of this nature. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I think when we receive our presentations, we will accept it. I mean, strategic planning and not training. We will accept it as read and then dive into the questions immediately, because it will help us to optimize time. It will help us to have an efficient meeting. And then the problem that I also have, but I don't want to dictate to members how and what to do if they ask questions. Sometimes members want to explain a scenario to get to there. Sometimes you have Honorable Mahato, Honorable Mkunu, direct straight to the point. You have members that try to, and I don't want to intervene with that type of questioning. Then we have interpellation questions and all of that. So what we're going to do with this particular case, everything that has been raised, again, it is in here. And I'm going to ask with the interest in this particular meeting and sport trust, that everything been edited and then sent to the sport trust to respond to us, that members go through it, members correct it, and then we see to ourselves whether we are happy. If there is a need,
After my
please mute.
I'm going to raise that chair. I know it's going to call after the meeting.
Please mute the honorable member. Thank you. So then we go through the minutes, we see whether we're happy. And if members feel again, I'm even happy to open one evening to say, let's us have a cordial discussions on this particular issue. And if members, this is your meeting, your oversight, it belongs to you as members of parliament. If you feel you need a second bite at the cherry with whoever stakeholder holder, we will do so. There's a need to meet again on the issues raised, and I think it's serious questions. The issue of compliance, the issue of, I mean, we had this in the past, the issue of copy paste, the issue of previous presentation surfacing now. It's serious indictments. I also will invite Honorable Mutambi to have a look at this contrast or the contra reviews that she's mentioning when we receive the minutes. Ms. Matthew?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and committee members. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity that the Sports Trust could represent itself and inform you of the work and the relationship that we do with the department and the corporate sector in South Africa. We welcome these minutes and the summary of action points and concerns that will be forwarded to us, and we will comply in terms of responses, given adequate time to respond. And we look forward to another engagement, hopefully in person, that we could meet and address these concerns and to map a way forward that is in the interest of our people at the end of the day, because that's what we all are here for. The Sports Trust is also here to deliver a service. We come from those communities and they're at the heart of who we are. And we want to see our country flourish and our people, especially our young people, having better opportunities. So that's what we're here for. We appreciate the robust discussions, and we definitely will take forward what comes out of this meeting. We also want to engage with you and ask you that going forward, that you also open the doors for us at the provincial governments and at the local municipalities, because we do struggle with them to make certain that more sports services are being delivered to our communities, because we believe we have a role to play in South Africa. There's certain services that government find very difficult to deliver timelessly to our communities. And the problem is that, yes, when the local government contracts service providers, sometimes we've seen it, the services are not being delivered. But we have a history as the Sports Trust that you can go into for the past 31 years Whichever services we have been contracted for, we had delivered, and we had delivered quality services at the end of the day. And this is why we don't see that we are a duplication to the department, but that we are a partner to make certain sports delivered to our people. And I would like to end it on that, that when we have our future engagement in person, that we could also map a plan of how you said members are from various provinces, various communities, how they can assist us and map what services or needs in those communities that we can then table together to those local government structures. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Matthew, for these kind words. And also, we should consider that seriously with the backdrop of the issue raised by Honorable Mutambi once again on the staff issue and the staff complement in order for us to do that. The Deputy Minister. Is the Deputy Minister still with us?
Yes, fully so.
Please, please.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. I also want to congratulate you. You know, you said something very interesting, that at least you have capital projects that you are participating in. As the Deputy Minister, I don't even have a single project that I can say it's a capital project that I'm participating in. But anyway, we are learning, and maybe you must teach us how you do it, so that we can also get to be supported in our projects. Chair, I'm awaiting my meeting with the DSEC and the Sports Trust. Then I will come back and report to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Members, thank you again, and I hope that this will be as soon as possible distributed to members, being rectified, see whether we're happy, whether we want some follow-ups, and that will then be a definitive as to whether there is a need to meet again with the Sport Trust. And I now declare this meeting closed. And thank you so much for everyone's participation in all of this.
Thank you.